What's up, everybody? I am your guest, John Morse, and this is the On the Line podcast. We're going to be bringing on Tim, our host here. We're going to be bringing on Tim and Tony. What's up, guys?
How's it going,
Hey,
John?
what's up?
All right. Well, we've got Cole, Mr. Spriggs. What's up?
Hey, good to see everybody.
I almost slipped up and introduced the wrong podcast here.
Hey, it would have been that much funnier. Well, for those that don't know, John was the original tournament director of Kansas Kayak Anglers. He also hosted a little podcast called Behind the Reel podcast. Now Behind the Reel Fishing. Check it out, actually. Still got a lot of good information. I got some stories about that later. What actually inspired us, Tim and I'd say Tim, and then he brought me in, if I'm being realistic, to do this podcast. Because of everybody enjoyed watching his, and we wanted to do the same thing. So tonight we're going to talk about the early days of Kansas Kayak Anglers, some stories from back then, how the club grew into what it is today. We're also going to talk to Cole Spriggs, who is a returning guest to the show. He's done plenty of tournaments, and he's always a threat when he's out there with us. So we're going to talk about the last 4 seasons, and yeah, so that's what we're doing. So we always kind of start out talking about some upcoming events, but tonight we are actually going to talk about a giveaway. So Tim and I are giving away, for the podcast, we're giving away 2 electronic gift cards to Bass Pro Shops, $25 value each. And the way you enter is you just have to make a comment. I don't know how to go and look and see who everybody's watching is. I'm sure I can figure it out, but you have to make a comment if you want a gift card, and we'll put your name in a drawing, and we'll do them later in the show. So
right now, Derek has a pretty good shot of winning.
Yeah, and you don't get it for multiple comments. Sorry, you only get it. So every time you make a comment, I'm going to put your name on a spinner, and I'm going to draw names later in the show. All right. Next is our 20th episode. So it's kind of we made it to 20, so that's pretty cool. So that's why we're giving away some stuff. We also want to talk about the upcoming Mine Land Wildlife Area tournament, which is next week. Monthly tournaments, and we also want to talk about the Big Bass Bonanza. John, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the very first Kansas Kayak Anglers tournament the Mine Land Wildlife Area? Oh, he had to go on mute. Sorry. Cole, what about you? Do you remember? Was that the very first one?
Oof, it might have been.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not entirely remembering. You brought that up, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what was my first tournament? What lake was it on? I was probably just too nervous and put it out of my mind or whatever. But
John froze.
Do you guys, Tim and Tony, you guys jumping into the scene? Do you recall your first tournament?
I do recall mine, but Tim, go ahead.
It was the Mine Wildlife Area.
Was
I
it?
think it was the first tournament of the Kansas Kayak Anglers. Yeah.
Can you hear us now, John? You froze for a minute there.
Yeah, sorry.
So was that the first tournament? Was it the Kansas, or was it the Mine Land Wildlife Area?
Oh, you know what? I think that probably was. It was very early on in the season for sure. That was where I took a little bit of a swim.
Oh, was that where the plugs?
So,
Yeah, I was looking back and I couldn't find any I couldn't find any older ones on the Tourney X. So I was thinking that was the very first one, was Mine Land Wildlife Area.
yeah, I think it may have been. Sorry, I'm sure I missed it. Cole did pretty good at that one, didn't he?
I think so. Luck, right? You're picking one of many options, and I hadn't frequented that place at all. But I think that's what I've always enjoyed about it, right? The struggle of we're not all together, but you also, if you kind of set your mind to exploring as your main outcome, it can be a good time.
And I want to say that was where or at least where you started revealing your information on the crappie jig bite.
So I let people know that sometimes, I go crappie fishing for bass.
Yeah, I want to say, I could be wrong, but
No, that sounds right.
Yeah.
I do remember it was cold, so I think you guys are right. I was going all the way back to the air cap days, John, of like, what was the first air cap?
Oh,
tournament?
yeah.
Oh,
That was
wow.
Wow. Air Capital Kayak Anglers. Whew, first tournament was probably like a Butler. Um, I think the one that actually is coming to mind is going to be Harvey County East, which we
Oh,
never
wow.
went back there again because it was. I think we caught like 4 fish that day between everybody, but it was probably one that if we had a little better crew there, because I think half of us were new fishermen, we probably would have done a little better. But yeah, early on, I mean, that was 2015, 2016, maybe when we started Air Capital.
Nice.
Yeah, they had NECA back in the day.
Yeah.
Happened with the Flint Hills. I think there was a Mocan era
Yep.
as well, and so it's lots changed from then to now, right, John?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, I would imagine a lot stayed the same, but um, yeah, I've seen a lot of people come and go, and I used to talk about that, about how people would be like really hardcore into fishing and tournament fishing, and then you would just see them fall off the face of the earth, and then you finally meet back up with them, and you find out that now they're like hardcore into frisbee golf or pickleball, or it's like they just traded one hobby for another.
Yeah.
And I've kind of fallen into that category now, so I'm a little bit of a hypocrite in that sense. But no, it's awesome to see that you guys are kind of carrying the torch. That might be giving myself a little too much credit, but no, I think it's awesome to see that we've got such a great group of guys that have taken over the leadership in the Kansas Kayak Anglers, and there's still some pretty competitive tournaments going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I actually think Todd said it best. He was on a podcast recently, and he's like, there's a lot of people that jumped right into kayak fishing during COVID, and then a lot of people kind of fizzled out from it, and now you're seeing a kind of a rebirth of kayak fishing. He said it better than I did, but that's why he's in his place and I'm in mine. So, we got Derek on, Clayton, I think that's Mackenzie, and Mark, and I don't think I know Mark, but
Is that Mark Pontooni?
Is that Mark? Maybe it's Mark. Yeah, Pontooni. I always forget about Mark Pontooni. I'm sorry, Mark. You've been on here like 3 times.
You should forget about that guy. He's a hammer. So
yeah,
I was gonna say you're gonna forget about him until he beats you in a tournament.
Yeah,
right.
I was actually just watching his video the other day. I was watching our podcast where he talked about the introduction of largemouth bass into Africa, South Africa, where he was from originally, which was really cool. So,
wow,
yeah,
I didn't know he's from South Africa.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're gonna have to watch the podcast.
Dang, I didn't. I've had him. I think I've had him on a podcast. I didn't get that out of him. So you guys are ahead of me.
Yeah, we have interrogation tactics that work pretty well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I do this for a living. So yeah, just a reminder, everybody's just joined us now. To get entered into the drawing, make sure you make a comment. If it's just as simple as hello, that's good enough for me. And we're gonna have a drawing later in the show. But yeah, I want everybody to come out. We talked a little bit about the Mineland Wildlife Area next week, which is April 11th. I'm going to show some stuff on that later. And then it's April, so you can sign up for the April monthly, which is, I think we already have 16 people. And then the Big Bass Bonanza, the first month is down. The leaderboards are updated out there on the website. I've updated those. And we have 20 people. So we're up about 3 this year. So we'd love to see that numbers getting greater. Remember, that gets you, even if you don't win, you can get into a drawing for Golden Belt Customs. Yes, you forget because I have an accent. That's how I can't forget you, Mark. I think the last few letters of your name's throwing me off. I think NM New Mexico is what I'm thinking. So, all right.
Has anybody, or at least revealed the information about catching some big ones on the Golden Belt bait since you guys have started giving those away?
I think Matt.
Since it's kind of just started kicking off, we gave them. It was last fall when we gave them away, so it was a lot of good months in there. So
those are some nice baits. I had one. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a very nice bait. I think I won it on a giveaway he was doing.
Yeah,
I did. I might have paid for a spot or something and ended up winning it on a live or something like that. But it had some real nice action to it. I ended up giving it to a buddy of mine that was getting into swim bait fishing, but kind of wishing I hadn't.
Yeah, they get expensive.
Yeah, we can join the big bass. You can join the big bass, and even if you don't even catch a fish, you can still get entered for another one, man.
Heck yeah. Yeah, we saw him at the Bassmaster Classic last year. He had a booth set up, and he had a lot of good-looking baits out there.
Yeah. Mine's on my rod out in the garage, or else I'd show you what I got.
There you go. It's a good place for it to be.
Yeah. Daniel's on. What's up? Here's the March monthly winner himself with 101. I forget the final number.
Yeah, 100.5.
Nice.
Yeah. So, Tim, if you want to start asking some questions, I'll let you know. I'll let you do so.
Yeah, we'll start at the beginning. John, I'm going to go with you. So let's go back to the beginning for all those who don't know. Where did it come from to have the Kansas Kayak Anglers? Like, where did the thought come from?
So there was 3 different clubs at the time, maybe 4, I guess. You had NECA, Air Capital, you had Southeast, and then you also had was it Flint Hills? Is that right, Cole?
Yeah, don't quote me on the name, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that is right. And so what we were, those are more localized clubs or, tournament trails, if you will. And they would kind of try to bounce around and do tournaments a little bit outside of their area. And they would draw club members from, like some of the NECA guys would come down and fish with us, and some of us would go fish with the NECA guys. And so we kind of all started intermingling. And then so we had some conversations between the 3 of us, Southeast Kansas Kayak Anglers, Air Capital, and Northeast. So that was kind of the collaboration there. And Flint Hills, I think, had already stopped doing tournaments at that point. Or maybe they continued. Maybe they continued on. I don't remember, but that's kind of how it started. Cole, go ahead. Sorry.
No, well, I always remember, I think the idea always started forming at like the Battle of the Hill, right? The big hill lake where we would try to get everyone together at that lake, and
King of the Hill.
Yeah, King of the Hill, yeah. And
that's right.
I remember that even sparked it for me where it's like I liked what all the clubs were doing, right? And you got to stay local. Some of us, there's some other great ones out there, Sunflower, and little, but it was like, hey, could we bring this group to bigger lakes, get more exposure and anglers together for this, and even just run a series, not to topple another series, but just say, let's all look for a schedule that allows us across the state, try to share some love from east to west, north to south. That really culminated. And I think one thing in my limited exposure in helping with some of these events, it's a lot of work. You got to give credit if you're listening to the guys that are running these, and John, it more than anyone, right? How much effort goes into setting these events up, but just to be able to share that across multiple folks with a shared vision, I think is how it really blossomed into the trail it is now.
Yeah, I totally forgot about King of the Hill. That at one point, and that may have been before before Cole fished one of those events, because I think we had some Missouri and some Arkansas guys coming down for the. I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember that?
I remember looking at it, like looking back
Yeah.
at old tournaments, kind of wondering what is this,
That was actually, that turned into being a pretty big deal, where we were drawing anglers from outside the state even that wanted to come compete. We had some pretty good back in the real early days. At least I only go back to like 2015, right? So I know Marty Hughes or a Josie Stone even, but like right when I got into kayak fishing, there was a lot of sponsorship opportunities where companies were giving away some really good prizes. And so we were able to lure people in, with all these badass prizes, from bending branches. We were giving away like several paddles and like fishing rods, and we were giving away, Cabela's was still around back then, and they were loading us up. And so, yeah, I totally forgot about King of the Hill. That's awesome.
So,
You're
do you
right,
guys know who
though,
won? Oh, good.
I was going to mention that is, one shift is just the kayak scene has exploded in a way that, you probably remember, used to call vendors and sponsors, and they're like, absolutely, let me send you, 10 Phoenix rods that you can divvy up between tournaments. And people were, you could just enter the raffle, not even place or do well, and walk away with a lot. And it's just a more competitive landscape, right? So that's why we're even more appreciative of the sponsors you guys get signed up for it.
Yeah, and it's probably like social media probably took away from some of the willingness to, give you all the physical product and stuff. But yeah, so yeah, the Kansas Kayak Anglers, I think, to Cole's point, was just all of us trying to get together and take all of our crazy tournament schedules and make something more statewide, work. And that kind of fizzled out a couple of the groups unintentionally, like the Air Capital Kayak Anglers. I've told myself a few times that I wanted to start that back up, because my thought process behind the Kansas Kayak Anglers was the local clubs would feed into the statewide organization, and it would be like, I'm going to get all the Wichita guys together, and then that's going to just feed into the guys that want to take it to the next level. Like, there's plenty of guys that are in this area, in the Wichita area, that would be more than happy to come fish a tournament at Cowley State Fishing Lake, but they probably don't want to drive, up and fish at Melbourne or something that's, further away, or that there's maybe more money to, at stake, or I've got to dedicate a couple of days to it. But, you could introduce people to the sport locally, and then have something that they could take it to the next level if they wanted.
Excellent. Well, that kind of goes into the next question, because it was kind of like, what did the first tournaments look like? And you guys kind of answered that, I think, pretty well, as far as, where they came from and how they started. So, John, the next question would be, how many anglers were showing up back then? Do you remember, like, to the first events?
Yeah, I mean, I know we definitely had some events that had probably less than 10 guys, I would guess, early on. But it picked up pretty quick. I feel like it picked up pretty quick, and we were averaging maybe 15 guys, and we were maybe getting real excited about having 20 guys, or anywhere over 20 was a pretty big crowd for the Air Capital Kayak Anglers, for sure. And then there was, as time went on, like I said, we started drawing from other clubs. And so we would have, 30 guys on a 200-acre lake. And it was like, that's when we started having to look at some of this other stuff.
On a shotgun start, right? And
oh, yeah. God dang, I'm forgetting about all this stuff.
Go into that, Cole. What was that?
Oh, man. So, one ramps where you all met at. You had to get there a little extra early for, the even 20 guys to unload, be ready for the captain's meeting. They check your measuring device.
You got to check in. Like, like old school, and you didn't even have an identifier.
No, roll call, plus you took everything on a digital camera. That was like the start of my era before turning around. So then it was even more cumbersome at weigh-in, because you'd show up and you'd have to have the SD card. The judge would be there with their laptop looking at your fish as you're trying to pick out, oh yeah, this is the better picture, right? So it was very real time. But the shotgun start, there's still an element I miss, right? And most of the guys are all in paddle kayaks. There's no power. There's pedal drives just started. They were still pretty rare, but everyone was just hoofing it, to try to spread out, across the lake. But there's camaraderie there as well. So maybe at some point we'll have a blast from the past tournament where we'll go. We don't have to go to hog troughs and mouth open style photos, but
No, yeah, man, taking me back.
Well, what were some of the challenges early on, John, that you had to go through to get everything going?
Man, I don't know that there were many. I was just kind of winging it all, I wasn't getting permits for any of these tournaments. I mean, I was just, I had had a conversation with, I don't remember. They might not even have worked for the Department of Wildlife or whatever. But I had a conversation with somebody that led me to believe that I didn't really need one for those state fishing lakes. So I just, I was just, there probably should have been more things to overcome, but I was just winging it. I would say that the biggest reason that I even started the Air Capital Kayak Anglers was because I went and I fished a NECA tournament, and I thought it was awesome, and I was hooked, and I wanted to do it, more often, but I couldn't justify going up to Kansas City and fishing all those tournaments. And so I started this club. I started up a Facebook page, and I just did it. And it was my excuse. Really, it was kind of my excuse to go fishing. I had a young family. My kids were babies. I mean, yeah, we just talked about how my youngest is 11 years old, and we started this tournament 11 years, this club 11 years ago, 2015. So I had, literally I had babies at home. And so it was like my justification to my wife, well, I started this club. I'm the tournament director. I have to be there,
Yep.
And so it was like my excuse to go fishing. And for a long time, that was the only time I went fishing. I didn't do a whole lot of pre-fishing and stuff. And so that was kind of my excuse to go fishing with me and all my buddies that I made. But I don't think there was a whole lot of, I really don't think there was. I can't really think of anything that was really an issue or caused me any problems. Just, I would say the one bad thing that I can think of is we had a guy that was cheating, that was a part of our group, and he put a stain on Kansas there for a little while, and he was what I thought was a good friend of mine. And but anyways, besides that, like, I probably wasn't doing things the way I should have. If I was doing them right, I probably would have hit a snag or two, but it never caused any issues. We go out to these lakes, and they might be a little bit crowded or whatever, but we didn't seem to piss anybody off that was bank fishing or get into it with anybody. We had some stuff stolen at Gary one night.
Hey, really?
That was a pretty sketchy place, I've found out since then. But yeah, one of our guys, David, he had his Yeti chained to a tree, and they come up, and they must have had the place scoped out, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. They come up and cut the chain and threw the Yeti in the back of the truck and took off. But from a tournament direct,
Matt Scooches has a nice Yeti cooler, so that's kind of weird.
Right? But I can't think of anything from a tournament director standpoint. I would say, going back to what Cole was talking about, we probably could have come up with a better system early on. but that's just the way it was, and people seemed to be okay with it. And we would have people standing in line for 45 minutes submitting fish, and there was only 12 guys there,
Hmm.
So yeah, technology has helped quite a bit. We use the excuse that we didn't have service at all these places. That was always our excuse when Tourney X first came around. But that didn't seem to be an issue once we finally decided to start doing it.
Very nice. Cole, what about you? You had the hat on of director, haven't you? Or kind
Yeah,
of
a few times. I come with the, I guess, experience of what it's like to be on both sides. And I think what makes kind of what we have now unique, and where, a lot of credit to our OGs like John, Josie, the folks that have stood up those local trails, is that what really dismantles is politics, right? It's time. It burns people out running these things, but you get a lot of opinions, and you're right, John. The early days, the drama's not as dramatic when there's 8 to 12 guys showing up to a tournament, right? You kind of sort through it. You start getting a lot more opinions when those tournaments start creeping above 30. But I think that's there'll always be challenges and things to address, but to remember, hey, if we can be a little unique as a state of Kansas, and that we work together, encourage the local events and clubs to go on, to feed the overall community, that's the key. And so I lean into that, because I know, John, you probably have those drama stories. I remember the cheater story, going on, but it's how you kind of bounce back from that and stay core to what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, I could maybe think of a few different scenarios where people were complaining about whatever. Didn't like pre-fishing, or didn't want this, or didn't want that, didn't want pedal dries, or didn't want motors, or whatever it was. Somebody always had an opinion, and we've lost guys to some of those opinions, but I think the majority of the guys all got along, and even though some of these guys are real competitive, they just that's not really why they're doing it. I don't think. I think that Cole probably doesn't. He'd probably be all right if he didn't add any more trophies to his man cave. I think he's got plenty of them, I guess, but he's doing it for the fun of it, and so he's probably held his tongue a few times, when he wanted to speak up and say something. And so I think the guys that are just doing it because they love fishing are probably trying to avoid some of that stuff, but it's inevitable. It's not, anglers aren't unique. We think we are. We think that we're a certain type of person, and as you get around more of us over the years, and I've hosted all these events, and I've hosted all these podcasts and stuff, you realize that we're a pretty diverse group of guys, and we're not just a bunch of old rednecks that like to go throw a worm under a bobber, So there's Republicans, there's Democrats, there's, everything in between. So we're not always going to see eye to eye.
Well, it helps, John, too, I think, when you have these big national circuits, right? You think of the Bassmaster Series and things like that set the rules that we kind of follow, right? We kind of,
set a standard.
Big trails and kind of mirror some of the rules and regulations. I think it actually helps you guys to give a little bit of a North Star to what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean, we have definitely copy and pasted some stuff from those guys for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Tony, I'll let you get into the next segment.
Yeah. You kind of talked a little bit about these too with stories, but what's one of your favorite memories about Kansas Kayak Anglers that stands out? John, I'll go first, or Cole, whoever first would come think of one.
What do you got? You got something cooking?
I got a lot of stories, right? So I'll try to keep them, in line. But most of what I think about, it's not the the good or the bad tournaments, right? You have good days, you have bad days, whether you place, you don't place, kind of event. I think what I enjoyed is there's a handful of lakes that Kansas Kayak Anglers went to go fish that I had maybe fished them a few times in my life because they brought me out to like Western Kansas. You can think of those lakes, right? Wilson, that's a beautiful lake. And how, I think of those memories of like, hey, joining this club kind of forced the hand for me to spend my time fishing there that I otherwise would have stayed local. I would have fished some, pothole near the home. And so those are some of my favorites, are just being able to go explore and find energy from that. Hey, I've never been on this lake. This gives me a reason to go try it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, John has a story with his kayak.
Yeah.
Plugs. I think you got a video of that, don't you? You forgot to put the plugs
back? Yeah, the Mineland Wildlife Area. I'm blaming it on Justin, my boss at the time, because I'm borrowing his kayak, and I'd probably never taken the plugs out of my kayak, and so I never even thought about it. But he's a boat guy. He's a bass boat guy, and so that's just like a normal thing for him. And I didn't even think to check, but he had the plugs out of it, and I don't know. I bet you I was fishing for an hour and a half, and it started not handling right, and I was like, "What is going on?" And then by the time I realized it, I was like, "I need to get back to shore." And I had a trolling motor on it, and I was like, "I need to get back to shore fast." And picking up speed was a bad idea because I guess water started coming in even faster, I guess. But yeah, I about tipped it all the way over, but I got close enough to the shore. There's a video of it somewhere, but yeah, that was the Mineland Wildlife Area, and that was a cool one because some of us rented a house that I don't know if it was the one that the bait shop rents out, but the bait shop has a house that they rent out down there, like an Airbnb, and there was several guys that were staying in that house. So that's kind of cool, like the camaraderie behind it. We'd done that a couple times at different places. The sleeping in your truck, I mean, that's a thing. I think we've all probably done that. It's not comfortable. I don't advise it, but that's a thing. Yeah, the Wilson one is kind of sticking out to me for some reason, and I want to say Cole was hoisting up some kind of prize or trophy on that one, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. I did well, I think, the first time or two we went there. Yeah.
Yeah, beginner's luck, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
Oh, but you get a kick, Tim, out of this. I kind of told myself I wouldn't tell this Wilson story.
Oh, no.
But I think that of all the guys, you're the one that will know what I'm talking about here. But last year at the state championship, super windy, right? Just ridiculous wind. And I was fishing over where Tim was. And I had, 9 o'clock, pretty early in the tournament. I had spot locked off of a point after I said my, pleasantries to Tim. And I'm sitting there fishing, staring towards the shoreline. And out of nowhere, I feel a boat hit the back of me, like a bass boat. Knocked me out of my chair. Still to this day, I don't know how I didn't go in the water on that day. Lost some gear and turned into that yelling match with the bass boater. But it was like, what are you doing? He's asking me what I'm doing. Turns out he was a really nice guy. It's like it hit him in his face. He goes, "Oh my gosh." He goes, "I thought I was spot locked. I think I hit heading lock on his trolling motor." So he wasn't under main power, thank God. And it was going to retie, thinking being a kayak angler, I'm just drifting off where he wants to go, right? And not that I could stay on the spot. And so when he ran into me, we lost some stuff. I needed to try to get to shore to see if he had cracked something. I didn't want to be out there in that wind with a damaged hull, and it took up the whole tournament. But by the time we got to the boat ramp, looked over, he wanted the game warden to be there for the incident report because in case something was broken. But I had lost a combo, and kudos to this guy because he just asked me what I lost. I was up front, and he handed me cash for it. So I didn't walk away a loser. You know, he replaced what was lost in a combo. So I got to give that guy a lot of credit for the ethics he operated with. And it was just one of those scenarios too where I go, well, could have gone really terrible. So it was about as good as it can. Playing bumper boats out there. But yeah, so I just Tim, we'll have to talk. You know what spot I'm probably talking about. So that was where it happened, and it was a little bit of a day ruiner, but worked out.
I think I caught 2 16s off that point. Yeah. Tony, what about you? Did you have any stories?
Do I have any? My first tournament story that was my very first tournament. So Tim did it the first year. We actually were going down to Mineland Wildlife Area. I'd recently gotten a camper, and I was like, hey, why don't you go with me camping down to like Mineland Wildlife Area? I said, I'll rent one of the places there at Big Brutus. We'll go fish. And then that week he got all like, I don't know if it was a week or two before us going, he had found like the Kansas Kayak Anglers page and was like, they're doing a tournament. He goes, these guys don't know what they got coming. I'm the best fisherman ever.
I think I actually did say that because I was the best farm pond fisherman that had ever lived.
But yeah, so so we went down there, and so I actually didn't partake in the first one because I just had a little paddle kayak, and I'm not that great of an angler. I have my days, but I've gotten a lot better since I started tournament fishing. So I was down there, and I got to see all these guys driving around with kayaks, and I just had a little paddle kayak, and Tim was in it, and I was basically chauffeuring him because we just had one truck, and we both had small enough kayaks we could throw them in the back of the truck that I pulled the camper down with, and so that was my first. I caught a bluegill. That was all I caught the whole day. I'm glad I didn't join the tournament. That's all I can say. It's actually the first time I met Clayton too. Yeah, and he was actually in the park next to us, camping in his car at the time, and I look over and I see some rainbow colored Crocs, and I was like, I think that's Blue Bastard. Yeah. So that was the first time I met Clayton, but that was my first Kansas Kayak Anglers story, and I'll remember it to this day. But it was a lot of fun. I think Tim caught a few fish.
I caught like 2. I finished last place. I was horrible.
You didn't finish last.
I realized that there was actually real fishermen in the world, and I was just a baby going into it.
No. Yeah, it's amazing. It will humble you quickly when you think you're really good. I never thought I was good, so I never had that problem. I've learned everything from Tim. So
yeah, right.
So. And watching Clayton's videos, I just go wherever he goes.
Tony said, "Don't go over and ask for an autograph for Clayton." I was like, "No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get his autograph. He's famous." Watch all his videos, but
he's a YouTube OG.
Yeah, he is.
He's deadly on the water for sure.
Yeah, see, I pulled it up.
Hey, oh my gosh, I caught. Hey, I told you I finished almost last, but you
weren't last.
People, look at that. Look how many people were.
Yeah, there was. I was actually going to bring it up earlier. I had it sitting over here, but yeah, a lot of.
I'm probably way down there too, though.
Zoom I kind of scrolled away quickly, but yeah, you're right there.
Okay, so
I'm a 0, right?
Scott's a hammer.
Yeah. He's
oh man, I think I did call it quits pretty early that day, but
go slowly, Tony. Let's see some of these. See if we know any of these names on here.
There's a lot of them I know.
I can't see it very good. Joshua Booth's on there. Yeah.
Let me do that.
There you go.
Yep. Ethan, Jacob.
Matt Walthall. Jacob, yeah. Ethan Bretz.
There's Kevin.
Kevin. Ivan.
Justin
Maples. Derek. Tim.
Yep. Todd.
David Cruz was there. What year was that?
This was 2022. I think this was like one of the very first. This was at least the first one I could find on Tourney X. So it's
I think that is I think that is the first one.
Jay was up there. Matt, look at that. Number 7, Austin. Jeff's. There's Cole right
Cole
there.
at 4th.
Yep.
Travis, Mike won it. That
Yeah,
interview.
that's right.
Mike came out with that big
249 fish caught.
What'd you say about Mike?
Oh, he came on there with a big award around his neck, and I thought that was the funniest one that you'd done.
Oh yeah. How many people were in that one?
I
62.
think like 62. That's amazing.
62?
Yeah.
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 Wow.
And I think that is just, I think that you can attest some of that to the local clubs still being around too.
Yeah.
I feel like, so I don't think NECA's doing anything, are they?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
So, and Air Capital's not, Flint Hills is not, Flint Hills is not. I know you have Sunflower now.
Yep. That's
And then what's
pretty big this year.
Sunflower?
Yep.
But I think that if you had all these smaller clubs going, you could get quite a. How many guys are you seeing at these more recent events?
20 to 30, 40, something around there.
I think the biggest one last year was like 37, but we're averaging about mid to high 20s, 25. I would say 25 is probably our average to 30. So we're really trying to hit that 50 mark is our goal this year. 50 members, paying members, and 50 at one tournament. So we saw an increase in the last 2 years. It kind of dropped off, and now we've seen an increase last year. So we're hoping to see. I got like this 20% in mind for increase this year. That's where my mind's at, which actually is a great segue, John, because I'd like to mention too, we have, we just updated all the, I'm actually going to share my screen real quick one more time. Share screen, if I can remember how to do it. Nope, wrong one. There we go, Kansas Kayak Anglers. So there we go. So there's a lot of people been asking, like people don't realize that we have the Kansas Kayak Anglers website, and Austin Applegate's done an amazing job on this. He continues to update it regularly. Anyway, so we've kind of changed it around a little bit. We've got our sponsors here if you're looking for discount codes, whatnot. Some of our sponsors this year, hopefully adding some more as we go on. So shout out to all of these sponsors. And then you got some rules up here. You've got your tournament info up here. But you can go to either Big Bass Bonanza. I'm sorry, AOI is what I'm looking for. There's membership info, shop. If you want to buy some swag, you can go get some swag, and you can order it online and have it delivered to your house, so you don't have to wait for it. And then there's some resources out here, and there's AOI, and it's an embedded sheet, so you can go out and look at it. Oh wait, am I in the wrong spot? I think I'm in the wrong spot. I'm sorry.
No, you had it right.
It wasn't coming up for me here. There we go. Yes, there it is. Anyway, you can find the spreadsheet embedded out here. So I just updated this is the Big Bass Bonanza. So you can see Clayton's got, and Daniel are tied for first, and Scott's on there, and Mark and Derek and Tim and Matt, Austin, and I'm way down here. But nonetheless, so I think we're missing Cole on there. Cole, aren't you on Big Bass Bonanza?
I am not. I have yet to put join, but I think it's a great option. I just know if I do, it's gonna I'm gonna go fish more, and the wife's gonna say, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I know you're not on there. I just wanted to see if I could get you persuaded otherwise. But I've updated all the membership. So we have, as of right now, we have 34 members. But what's really cool is we actually have ROI. We have 12 rookies this year. So shout out to all of these rookies.
Yeah.
And
nice.
Yeah. And then also I added to it, we got a State Lakes Roadrunner in June. I forget the exact date, I have to look, but June the 13th, I believe. So double check that.
That's gonna be a fun one.
But I've added all these out here, so these are approved lakes. They're the same ones that are on the the same ones that are on the KDWP website. But if you're looking for lakes to fish, they're out here as well. So just wanted to throw that out there while we were talking about it, the website and stuff, because a lot of people forget we have that, where they just joined on the Facebook page and we don't like post that regularly. So if anybody's watching and they didn't realize that, yeah. So shout out to all the new rookies this year, and a shout out to all the returning people. And what I'd like to see is, when I was looking at the original Mineland Wildlife area, I've seen a lot of people on there that I don't see on memberships this year, and we'd love to have you. So just want to give them a shout out.
Cool.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, I'm just kind of
Cole,
going everywhere tonight, apparently.
I just remembered something. I think you were probably there. It was at El Dorado, and one of the park rangers got into it with me because supposedly I didn't. So I was talking earlier about how I wasn't getting permits to host these events. Well, that was earlier on. So I actually did have my ducks in a row in this scenario, but we were at one of these shelters, and I paid for it in advance. I'd done everything I was supposed to do. And this guy shows up and he's like harassing me, telling me that I'm in somebody else's place. And there was some church that had this reserve that wasn't even there, and it turned into an ordeal. But I was just, for whatever, thinking back on one of those questions he'd asked me. And I realized that Cole's probably like, that guy never got a permit.
I think because I remember we just like pivoted to like a grassy hill or something off to the side or something like that.
I think we stuck to our guns, and I think he ended up realizing he was wrong. But
that was Perry. That was Perry Lake.
No, I think it was El Dorado. That was El Dorado. Yeah, and I think what had happened. So there was something going on. A bunch of people at the state park got fired because there was a bunch of fraudulent stuff going on where people were funneling money. So I think what people were doing is they were like double booking places, or I don't know, but somehow they were pocketing money, or maybe not like writing stuff down. I don't know exactly how they would do that, but so this guy was probably the guy that was supposed to be like cracking down and making sure this stuff wasn't going on anymore. And he thought I don't know. I guess he thought I was a part of it, but
that's funny.
Oh yeah.
He was like getting in my face and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it was kind of a scene.
Well, I got one more question for you, then I'll turn it over to Tim. So what's the biggest bass anybody has ever seen in a tournament? Like inches wise.
I want to say 22. I don't think I've seen a 23.
I had a 22 in one tournament. I want to say it was like either the NECA days or something. I just remember because I caught two of them in one day that went 22.
Holy crap.
And
where was that at?
Repeated that? That is a good question. I want to say it was a Roadrunner event, and it was a State Lake Roadrunner event. So it was one of the lakes around Topeka.
Because what I was thinking was it was Banner Creek.
It might have been Banner. That sounds right. And this was when I think Banner was hot, if you remember, John, like a decade ago. It was on. And I think it was early in the year, and they probably had moved up to bed, and I had unintentionally caught big bedded females, twice. Because I remember the first one I caught, it ran so hard and ripped drag that I thought I had a hybrid on. And I was just like, get this in, get this over with. It's just a hybrid.
I hope this thing jumps off.
So, yeah, because I think I was, and I didn't, catch a ton of bigs, but I remember I was at like 99 something inches that day. And I was like, just one more, just so I could say I did it once in my life. But yeah, I do remember, I'm sure someone's probably had maybe something bigger, but I don't, if anyone else is listening in, comment on it, that what they've seen, but that's what I remember.
And I think we had a 20, it might have been 22. It might have been somewhere between 21 and 22 at Gary in the early years.
It's like a 21. I think Jay caught it at El Dorado. That was an impressive fish. And I think I had a 21.5, and I told him, I was like, man, this doesn't count. Like, it's a largemouth versus smallmouth. These are two different fish.
That thing was a toad, absolute toad.
Yeah. Yeah. I do remember that.
We'll see.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen, that especially for someone, I can't wait till someone catches that 23, somewhere in a tournament. That's going to be pretty special.
Doesn't it have to be 23 to be a master angler here?
Yep. Master
Which is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Isn't Nebraska like 20 inches?
It's a lot smaller, yeah.
And I'm going, well, sometimes we're not that different temp and landscape wise, but unless you get pretty far south. But I know that Mine Land, it got its name for, producing a double-digit bass or two back in the day. So there's some places that have the ability to get there.
Yep.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. I'm gonna move over to Tim for some more questions about a little bit about behind the reel.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, I see a lot of comments already, but if you want to get entered into that drawing, we're gonna do one probably after this segment of the first drawing. So make sure you make a comment if you haven't already.
Yep.
And I'll add you to the list.
All right, John. So basically, we're gonna start talking about behind the reel. And honestly, that's what brought us to where we're at today, because it was one thing to win a tournament, but I don't know what, with me personally, I was like, man, I could be on a podcast. That's pretty, back in the day, podcasts were kind of rare. So you were like the edge, right? So it was like very important to get on, get that 1, 2, 3 win and then be on your podcast. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And what was your inspiration for doing the podcast?
I think the biggest thing that I was wanting to do was to kind of use it to advertise for the clubs. But I also wanted the information just as much as anything, we watch all these videos and we do all this research and everything, and we're trying to figure out how we can be better anglers. And I think that there's a lot of stuff going on that leads to somebody being a successful angler that doesn't have anything to do with the color of your bait or, some of the things that we give a lot of attention to. There are a lot of things going on behind the reel, I guess. And so I wanted to kind of hear what other people's thought processes were, like why they were fishing in that area, or because I feel like when I look at something, I'm going to fish it a certain way, and I see that when Cole's fishing, he's doing something totally different, but he might even be in the same area. So part of it was to learn for myself, but then also wanting to use it for an opportunity to bring new people into the club.
Okay, nice. And then kind of like I said, for me personally, at Melbourne or Wilson, when I got third place, I called Tony first thing. I was like, I get to be on John's podcast. So I was excited, and it's nerve wracking. You're like, my internet went down right before I got on, and so I was even more nerve wracked. But it was, I don't know, it's come full circle kind of thing. So it's nice.
And that part of it, so that part of it came later, right? That part of it was kind of an addition. So when I first started it, it was more of, I want to interview these people. And I guess it didn't really start out as the winners. And then once it morphed into the winners, I felt like, these are guys that I want to learn from. These are guys that I kind of look up to. And I think they deserve a spotlight, right? They might not be winners of the TOC or the Hobie or, a national event, but part of it was I did want to give them a bit of a spotlight, and by giving them a spotlight, these other things, like attracting new people to the group, and me maybe getting to learn some information, all that stuff in the mix. But yeah, you're right. Like that was a part of it. I did feel like they deserved to have a bit of a spotlight as well.
Nice. Well, Cole, what about you? You've been on the podcast, several times. Is there any favorite memories that you have from being on there, or that you enjoyed being on?
I'd say just like this one and being on John's, like I also enjoyed the other side, right? Listening to the how or the why they think their game plan worked out more than maybe the bait, and
yeah.
That's always where my mind goes. So I think there's a lot of value too, and we see the stories of the anglers that win the really big national events, whether it's in the kayak or the boat scene, and but it's a lot different when you hear it about someone that you fish with, every other week in a tournament against, to learn that. And it's not about them giving away their secrets or giving away those, because that, the goal is, what was your mentality like? What did that, do for you? And you start to quickly realize like there's really not that many secrets. It's just how people solve the problem, the equation in front of them. Sometimes it works and it doesn't, but there's a lot of value to that. And as John said, I think just learning from peers is something that's kind of hard to do. We got a lot of pride that stands in the way, but just have a moment where you can say, okay, that makes sense. I can take that away. It's helpful. So appreciate you guys doing it, and John for setting the tone.
So let me ask you guys this. This isn't on the questionnaire, but after you watch one of the podcasts or you're listening to it in your truck and you're like, I had that bait tied on. Oh my God, I did not throw it.
Oh yeah.
Those where you're like, I had it tied on, man. Come on.
Yep.
And they're like, I got 97 inches with it. Every cast.
Yep, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah. Go ahead, John.
No, I mean, yeah, there's, I mean, you could probably even elaborate on that, confidence goes a long way too. So I think that I could go through an area and I might be able to catch a limit on one bait, and then Cole might be able to come through that same area and use a completely different technique and do the same thing. So, but yeah, it does feel like a little bit of a kick in the nuts when you find out that it didn't work for you, but it worked for the next guy.
Yeah. So, John, what was the favorite episode you've ever done behind the reel? Is there one that stood out kind of to you that you're like, this was the best one?
I don't know. I would say
this one, of course.
Yeah. Besides this one, of course. I think the one that got the most views was the homeless fisherman. I'll say that. I did enjoy talking to him. He's a cool dude. I got to have Christine Fisher on a podcast, and she's obviously done great things in the sport. Marty Hughes. I got to have. I've had a couple of bigger name people, not a ton of them. I had Big Bass Dreams. Sorry, I'm drawing blanks on people's names right now. Yeet to D. Again, I'm losing names here, but I can see faces right now. But I'm nervous, I guess. But I had some people on the podcast that were a big deal to me, and I thought, I didn't ever have Kevin Van Dam or anything, but I thought, those were pretty cool in order for me to be able to do that. But I don't know. I can't really think about a favorite podcast. Nothing's really coming to mind. I think I had fun with most of them. I don't feel like any of them really felt like a chore. But maybe some of the bigger name people are the ones that stand out right now.
Nice.
The correct answer was actually the one Tim was on.
Yeah, no, I was way down at the bottom on that one. So I was just
Cole's,
happy.
Cole's, Cole's been on a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cole's
Actually,
been on a few of them.
well, the one with Cole and Melbourne where he caught the 20-inch smallie underneath the tree, or
mm-hmm.
you were telling that story. I was just imagining in my head what that would look like catching a giant
Getting it all
smallmouth.
tangled up, but
Yeah.
it was. They were fun. So it's a neat way to kind of hear the stories. I'm sure all of us that join just like to, we may have had an off tournament, so let's kind of hear what the other folks did. So it's a good format, and it's amazing the difference in angler styles. John, your point about like you could fish a bank. Most any of the guys, even I look at on the chat, we're probably going to approach things differently, but it helps kind of tie the pieces together, and so it's fun to kind of see that.
Tony, you want to tell us your story about?
Yeah, actually, well, I mean, I watched a lot of episodes, and learned a lot of stuff. I mean, I really have, like, in the last 4 years, I'm still not a great angler, but like leaps and bounds from where I was when I first started fishing. But yeah, I was actually down a year ago at the Bassmaster Tin Killer event, not for the championship. It was just the regular season event. And I just got live scope like a couple of weeks prior. I'm like, man, something's just not right with this. I can't see my bait. I'm not seeing my bait. And so I go and I start looking for some videos, like while I'm on the water, right? Like this wasn't during tournament. It was like practice fishing. And up comes John on a little short, telling me that I had my Garmin live scope in down imaging versus forward facing position. So you helped me out there. So that one sticks out to me.
Yeah.
And then more recently, like a week and a half ago, I went to pull my inflatable life vest out of my and it had it deployed because the little cartridge in there was had gotten wet a few times. I think it finally just gave. And I tried to rearm it and realized I didn't replace the cartridge. And I went out and looked for videos, and yours was actually the first one that popped up on how to rearm a life vest.
Still helping one person at a time.
So your videos are still helping people, including myself. And while a lot of the other, I did watch the one on Christine Fisher, and before she was like as big as she was, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
She's really taken off and done a lot. So, but yeah, you've actually helped me more on. I actually think I looked at a settings video too for the Garmin Live Scope, which helped me out when I set mine up. So yeah, those are less about. I don't know if those are my favorite, but they definitely have helped me. And I'm like, oh, it's John. Let's see what he has to say. I was like, oh, I'm an idiot. Thanks, John. Anyway.
Yeah. I would say the first ever Behind the Reel podcast was with Jacob.
Yep.
And it was in his living room there, and it was just an interview, and so that's kind of where it all started. And I had all these questions, and that's where kind of the premise of the whole thing started, and it maybe morphed a little bit into something different. But yeah, if you go back and look at that, I was pretty excited about the podcast when we did that, and about the direction it was gonna go, and thinking it was gonna be a big deal, and so yeah, that was cool. Yeah, I think I just drove down there just to shoot the episode, and I've done a lot of YouTube videos since then, and a lot of marine electronics videos, and people are still watching them today. I found out, so I pretty much get a check from YouTube every month still, oddly enough.
Nothing wrong with that.
We haven't got to that point yet.
That's not a very big one, so don't get too excited. But they'll send you.
Does it pay for a sandwich?
It'll pay for a sandwich or two. Yeah, that's about it. But those are, the ones that are paying me are the marine electronics videos where people are stuck out on the water and and they go look it up and stuff. The podcast, the podcast, I never really seemed to be able to branch out into more of a national audience. It seemed like just all my fishing buddies were the ones watching them, but hey.
Yeah, that's a lot of why we do it. So we have been recognized a few times. So, we give out autographs. No, kidding.
Well, when you have to go out to Walmart in a disguise, I mean, it's getting kind of rough. But. Well, Tony, you want to give away a card real quick? A gift card?
I was getting ready to share my screen.
Now's your chance, fellas. You better say something if you want to get a chance to get in here.
Yeah, the last one I see is Derek's comment. Anybody else? I think I got everybody on here.
Yeah.
Derek, I know Derek's caught a real big one in one of our tournaments. I think maybe was it in the 21s, Derek, or was it a 22? I think he's caught a real big one. That was one of them that was on the tip of my tongue.
No, he just tells the story every time that he caught a big one. He knows what we're talking about. Just kidding. Yeah, he catches some big ones.
So, John, I'm in a yearly tournament with Marty Hughes.
Yeah.
The goal is to catch the 2026 bass.
Yep.
I caught 430 this month, largemouth.
Wow.
So I was trying to get 500 by the end of March. I want to do 500 by the end of April, and then so I can just get it over with.
Well, you're gonna kill that goal then, yeah. That's awesome.
I sent the group a picture the other day, and I had ice on my arm because my arm hurt so bad from catching them. So yeah, it's something.
Can you see my screen okay, Tim?
I can. You ready?
Right.
Yeah, I did that the first year he did that, and I just gave up because I don't catch that many fish.
Well, there it is. There's our first gift card.
Mark. I don't remember who that is.
Mark Montucci.
Montucci.
All right, Mark. I'll reach out to you after the show, and it will be, and I will get you that gift. I'll get an email for your gift card. Okay.
Yep, and then we'll give out one more at the end there. But
yep. Derek said,
and is there?
I have 22. My favorite trophy, 2023 Big Bass of the Year.
Yeah, is that one of them that was carved out into a fish? It was the wooden.
Yeah, it was kind of like these wooden ones back here, but it was a big fish.
Yeah,
back here behind me, the top ones.
Yeah,
I actually have a not a favorite episode. It was my first year doing tournaments, and I ended up winning Melbourne for the KBN and for the Kansas Kayak Anglers Championship. That's those two trophies. And that was kind of like the time you kind of quit doing the podcast, and I was actually really disappointed. So you owe me one. You owe me
one. Yeah, okay.
I almost reached out to you. I was like, hey, can you just do one more for Tony?
That's awesome. Well, I'm sorry to let you down, but no, that is cool to know that people were, and I guess
Mark Bassing. Love it. Sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, that is cool to hear that people were excited about being on the podcast. So, I was going to ask, is there somewhere where guys can go buy some on the line merch? I saw your shirt you're rocking there.
Not yet.
I have
We've
that
talked
made.
about it.
It's a pretty cool logo.
Yeah, we like it. So
yeah, we have something a little bit more than you didn't have at your time, John, when you first started, which is AI.
Yeah, there you go.
To help us come up with these ideas, because I can't come up with myself. Tim and I come up with a lot of good ideas, but we kind of play off them. I use a little bit of AI, a little bit of different editors to make that. But
yeah,
I think I went through 5 before Tim agreed it was the right one. So, but yeah, we've talked about getting some merch and maybe giving a few away, and I've got a couple places I can go, order it, but I haven't done that because Tim and I both have YouTube channels too, and we've been talking about it, but we haven't pulled the trigger yet. Try not to go overly committed, and then you have a lot more things going on, and we just want to fish.
Yep. I know the feeling.
Well, Tony, we'll ask the next one there real quick, and
Yeah. All right. So just you kind of mentioned it a little bit, and we talked a little bit before the show. Just to, so a lot of people probably been wondering what you've been up to, John. A lot of guys have been around for a long time. Do you still get to do fishing much? I know you're a pretty busy guy.
I haven't been. I haven't been fishing a whole lot. I'll admit, kind of going into what you were just talking about, I probably got a little bit burnt out. My whole entire life revolved around fishing for a long time, and I ran the club. Um, I ended up with the YouTube channel. I started working in the fishing industry. So it was great until it wasn't, I guess. And I got a little bit burnt out. Once it wasn't intentionally, but once I didn't have the obligation of hosting these events anymore, we found ways to fill up our schedule with the kids and their sports, and that's kind of where uh, most of my old fishing time is gone. All the kids are pretty heavily involved in sports, basketball, baseball, football, softball, wrestling. And so that's taken up a lot of time. But I do want to get back out and I do want to fish more. I probably took the kayak out maybe like once or twice last year. So I'm a little ashamed to admit that. Um, so I don't work for Russell Marine Products anymore. I work for an oil and gas company. But we're on a golf course. Basically, the building butts up to a golf course, and there's a pond right behind it. I just caught me a nice, I don't know, 4.5, 5 pounder the other day.
I seen that.
So I get to do some fishing at work a little bit. And so yeah, I'm hoping that I'll get out and maybe fish with you guys this year.
Nice.
We're looking for you at
That'll
El Dorado.
Yeah, that'll be, man. El Dorado is. Did you guys fish it? I don't think you fished it last year, did you?
They had one. Todd had one set up for the KBN at El Dorado, but the wind was
It was a
blowing
year
like
before.
40 miles per hour plus, so they canceled it and never didn't redo it. So
I tell you
El
what, this
Dorado,
yeah.
and Cole will tell you, El Dorado is a bit of a sleeper. I mean, there was a lot of years nobody wanted to go to El Dorado, and we've had some guys show out over there. Jay doing his thing with his spinner bait one year, and no, that wasn't Jay.
Ryan Brett.
Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan with the spinner bait. Yeah, Jay. I'm sure Jay, I think did well that tournament too. But yeah, Cole, El Dorado. I'm excited about that one for sure. My butt kicked because I'm gonna just go do what I like to do at El Dorado, and it doesn't seem to win tournaments. But hey,
I usually do what Tim does at tournaments, and that it doesn't win for him, but does for me. I don't know.
I'm like, hey, go try this out, and I'm like, I get skunked, and he goes and gets whatever inches.
Yeah. Well, I hope we do get to see you out there, John. I know
Yes.
Tim actually can't make it to that one, but you can tell me where to go if not. So, Cole, what about you? You going to be doing some more tournaments this year?
I'm always gonna try. I was joking before the podcast with John that I'm right behind him. My littles aren't so little anymore, and their activities are picking up, which means my availability to kind of go take a day fishing is it's cut shorter. But I'll be around and try to at least join as many KKA events as I can this year. But it'll be temporary, right? Lean into that phase that kiddos are, and then it's always I joke about my retirement goal. I'd love to be like a Marty Hughes, right? Retired, be able to travel around and go do that. But yeah, I'm still going to get out. I just have noticed my ability to do so is starting to get limited.
You'll get stay with it, and you'll get your time back when they get to be like 30.
Raise them right now. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
My youngest daughter, she loves to go fishing. She's kind of like she kind of likes to do anything I like to do. She's my little shadow. The other two, they like to catch. So if we're not catching, they're ready to do something else. But Maylee, she likes to fish. She'll sit there and she'll grind it out with me. But when I had a boat, if we weren't catching them, my son would ask me if we could go fast. Um, and if we're out there on the kayaks and we're not catching anything, he's ready to. He doesn't want me to sit there and fish in this one spot for an hour and a half. He wants to go explore or whatever. So, but yeah, you'll have those opportunities if you haven't already, Cole.
Yeah, I've a tip for those that got my little guy is in second grade right now, so he's try not to push your hobbies on your kids, right? But if they like it, even better. And our trick has been recently hitting the caw. He loves to go out there because I can beach it. I can go catch catfish while he digs holes, grabs. There's a lot of catfish. You can throw a worm on a hook out there and catch something pretty quickly. And so that has been our way, to your point, John, of letting them go explore, not just stay locked in until they, that passion gets there. And so that's been our little go-to is a lot of catfishing recently, which
nice.
It's something to do.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
What's something, John, you would suggest from your experience that, as we may have switched, director, and Tim and I are, admin now and stuff, but something we can do and something you learned that can help us grow in this year and next year and up beyond? Any piece of advice?
I would, you're saying from a director perspective?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would, I thought it was a good thing that we introduced a handful of people into help splitting up some of those responsibilities, just to keep you from getting burnt out on it, keep you from always having to be that role, because when you're the tournament director, and you're trying to fish an event, you're not able to maybe focus as much as you should, or so I don't know if you guys are still doing that or not, but I would say try to share those responsibilities as much as you can. And just, I would say, keep doing what you're doing. You guys seem to be focusing on reaching out to new potential members, and by doing this, and it sounds like you talked about some growth earlier that's worked. I will say one thing that I was thinking about. This would maybe be a good place to say it. But we were talking about these smaller clubs not being around anymore. I think if you do want to hit that 20% goal, like you talked about, it may not be a bad idea to host a little event in Wichita and maybe one up in Kansas City for, maybe a different crowd. And if and if you were interested in doing that in Wichita, at least, I'd be happy to look at helping that out. Maybe we could get some Wichita folks fishing with you guys. But I don't know. I didn't have much of a game plan. I had a lot of help, especially with Kansas Kayak Anglers. I was just the guy that showed up at the tournaments for the most part. I was the guy that could commit to being there for the award ceremony. And the guys that showed up to my award ceremonies know it wasn't anything spectacular. We just put a bunch of prizes out on the table, and we congratulated the guys who won, and that was about it. So I don't know. From I guess those are my pieces of advice. That's all I got.
That's good advice. I think one of the things that I think we're proud of last year is I started filming them. I was like, I'm just gonna bring a camera and film the awards because we're not doing live. So we're just like internet, all that kind of stuff, and doing some more bigger prize packages because it's hard. You're like you said earlier, it's hard to get sponsors these days with the market. There's so many people. But we had some people donate some stuff and put together some prize packages, and people really enjoyed those. I think the Milford tournament we had, and it was like 21 out of like 23 anglers show up to the award ceremony. So so I think that building that camaraderie, I can see everybody like talking and stuff. So that's really important, I think, to have that. So, and I remember my first award ceremony. You said T. Boyden and Tim was supposed to go up, and I took his prize. Didn't realize it.
I paid the wrong guy before too. I'll tell you that. I paid the wrong guy before for Angler of the Year. So that was man, I had to tuck my tail on that one. I did the math wrong or something. I think that was at that same El Dorado event that we were talking about where the game warden was on me. Maybe I was just nervous from all that, but I paid the wrong guy and it all worked out in the end. But I had something on the tip of my tongue. I just lost it, but lost it. It'll come back.
Yeah. Anything you think we can? You got a lot of experience too, Cole. What about you? Anything we can do?
I'll keep doing what you're doing, but I think recognizing that you're on the verge of burning out is the key, right?
Yeah.
And use those around you. So you showed the roster for that. I mean, that Mind Bland that year was like 60 people. That was a huge turnout. Crazy. I think what made that one different and helping kind of see the planning come together is that the small club, you guys worked to say, hey, this is going to be part of your normal trail, but can we kind of host it and invite people from other trails to join that want to follow it? And that was unique where most people are competing for dates. You said, well, let us integrate. And that integration is what allowed a lot of new folks there. And it does take a village. And I want to encourage those, if you notice people that are having the passion for it, but also recognize that if your passion is competing in the tournaments, like you talked about the old days, I remember having to come in, at noon was a requirement to come in and get set up to score fish, even if I was fishing the tournament. It's hard to let go when you're doing well, right? Or just wanting to be out there. But if you find those people, bring them in, recognize that they are maybe getting burned out. So I think the fact that you guys have each other, have other folks, Todd, you can call each other out on it and say, okay, how can we make sure you're supported or, go through that? Because we're all going to go through phases where we're busier than other times. And at the same time, having that resource is going to be key. So I also will touch, Tony, on and Tim, that I loved how you guys have introduced some of the potluck style awards. Because I'm going to be a hypocrite because I already look at some tournaments and go, I got to hit the road as soon as this to get to the ball game.
Yeah,
if you can make it and you got nothing holding you back, just go. Even if you don't think you're going to hit the top three, because it's a great way to meet folks, and it's the side conversations that you have that you go from not knowing anyone to knowing most of the people there by the end of the season. It's pretty unique, and you get to expand your network that way. And just tell stories, the good and the bad, but. So I just encourage folks, if you can make the awards, try to, if your calendar allows.
Yeah.
And I was.
Go ahead, John.
I was going to say something about. I think that was something we did real early on with KKA, and when you guys asked what was my favorite KKA event, one of the memories that popped into my head was that some pulled pork sandwiches at Big Hill.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember those, but there was like a really awesome slaw to go with it. I think maybe that was Kevin, possibly.
Kevin Kerr made them. I don't forget food.
Yeah. And no, I think like giving guys an incentive to show up at the award ceremony, if you guys are doing that with food, that's a great way. Everybody's tired at the end of the day and would love to eat some grub after a hard day on the water, and having some maybe randomized prizes you're probably already doing that, but giving somebody an incentive to win something really cool that maybe didn't, you know, place well.
Yeah, Gaz definitely said community is key to growth, and having fun and fishing should be synonymous. I agree. Which I'm going to plug. Oh, go ahead. Nope, go.
The video thing of the award ceremony was something that I wanted to do and I never did, but I think that could be a huge thing for your relationship with your sponsors. And if you're able to, the way that social media has grown over the years, you could take a little 10-second short or whatever and share it online. And if your sponsor feels like he's getting some advertisement out of that, they're going to be more willing to keep supporting the club.
Yeah, I actually used the videos from last year to send them a link, and when I sent people emails, say, about basically them to help get prizes for those. Like, hey, if we do these little award ceremonies, we give away prizes, all that kind of stuff. And sorry, Clayton said you have to come to weigh in to hear Tim's lost fish stories. It was a catfish.
I'm up to about 64,000 lost fish, I think, for the 5 years.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But since you said that, I was going to say I went over and picked up some Blue Jazz coffee roasters. You can order it online today. I'm bringing in 3 bags of this to the giveaways for the tournament, like Mineland Wildlife Area. So if you need some coffee. So that's one of the things. I was able to send them the award ceremony and said, this is what we do. And like, yeah, we can hook you up with some coffee. So shout out to them today. So it's really.
So John, you have a few more minutes. We got a little rapid fire section.
Sure.
All right.
And
shout out to Blue Jazz.
There you go.
You can order it online and have it shipped to your house.
And remember, make a comment and you get into the $25 drawing. So
yeah.
Well, John, we'll start with you. What is your favorite bait of all time?
A jig.
Jig?
Flipping jig.
Flipping jig? Color?
Yeah.
Or does
black?
It matter? Yeah.
I would. In years past, it's been black and blue. I'll stick with black and blue, but I've started to throw more green pumpkin.
Very nice. Cole?
Senko. It's just too versatile of a bait, from weighted, unweighted, all kinds of rigging techniques, that if I had to say I can only fish with one bait for the rest of the year, it'd be that, just because of its versatility.
Very nice. Tony?
I would say finesse jig. I'm actually getting from another sponsor, Clayton, some CNC custom finesse jigs coming to me soon. Don't forget Clayton. So I'm excited to see those. So. Tim?
I'd say probably just this year alone a chatterbait. So this year alone. So let's see here. What is your best? Oh, this is a good one, John. I'll ask you.
Sorry, we got distracted. Go ahead. Sorry.
What's your favorite Mind Wildlife Area bait that you used?
I don't know. Yeah, Cole, dig me out.
I was going to say one that I hardly ever use outside of that, just because of that one tournament, it's a marabou jig. Yeah. But yeah, it'd probably be, I'd say that just from history, but probably is going to be some type of jig, some type of bottom bait.
Nice.
Last time I'm there, it was a wacky rig.
But that was last, So, and then we'll see with this one holds, but deep water could be anything.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of at Mineland was catching fish on a jig there. So that's kind of a boring answer since I just told you jig already. But when Cole was talking about his favorite bait, I was actually convinced that the only way to throw Senko was on a wacky rig.
Deal with all the snags. It's worth it, right? So
it is.
I honestly, I probably haven't thrown a Senko on anything but a wacky rig in like 5 years.
No.
That works. I didn't even know about wacky rig until 5 years ago, and I thought it looked stupid, and I put it on. I was like, why did I not use this for like the last 30 years? I think for mine, last year or the year before, whenever we were there, I was using a little swim jig or a little swim bait, and I had like 86 inches the night before, and I used it the next day and absolutely caught nothing on it. So I don't know. In 12 hours, it turned off the little swim bait, and so that'd be mine. But well, John, what's your PB? Largemouth and smallmouth.
Um,
You can go inches or pounds; it doesn't matter either one.
yeah, I don't know. Probably, I actually don't think I've ever put a fish on a measuring board over 20 inches. I do not believe. And I think I had the curse of like a 19 and three quarter. I don't think I've ever put a 20 incher on a measuring board. Now I have caught bigger fish that I didn't weigh or didn't measure. But yeah, that would be my largemouth. I honestly think my PB largemouth that I can actually back up would be 19 and three quarters. And then I think my PB smallmouth is 18 inches, something like that, 18 and a
Yes,
half,
yes.
18.
Well, no, that was El Dorado, wasn't it? You caught that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So not impressive.
Still pretty impressive.
Again, I wasn't ever great at this. I only ever won one tournament.
Yep, I remember it was one of the beginning ones, wasn't it?
It was Cowley,
Cali. Yep.
small little lake south of Wichita.
And there was something about that, wasn't it? That you had some kind of bait, and then you threw it from there on out. Wasn't there something you were using? And there was a
Yeah, it was illegal dope
yeah,
swim bait that Edwin makes. The nuisance wake is what it was. Yeah,
yep.
I yeah, I kind of had that bait figured out for a little while,
That's
and I
pretty
caught
cool.
a couple 19 pluses in that one.
Very nice. Cole.
So Smalley, I know the weight of my biggest was 610 from up north.
Wow,
Tournament 20 and a half, maybe Melbourne from a few years ago. Largemouth 22 in kayak tournament, and then core memory as a kid. And I can't guarantee the accuracy of the old like Zebco style scales, but we used to have some strip hits in Missouri we fished in the glory days, and I remember that's the only fish that on that scale was double digits, just barely, but it had crested 10. We didn't measure it, but I just, that was still haven't seen one like built like that.
That's pretty cool. Tony.
So the biggest I caught with Tim in Texas, I don't know the inches, but it was 7.3 for largemouth, and then I caught back-to-back sunflower tournaments, kind of like my PBs and tournaments was gosh, what was it, 20.75 at Perry. My best three fish were 55 inches, and then
wow.
and then the next week at sunflower tournament we were at Clinton Lake, and I caught a 4.02 pound large or smallmouth, 20 inches. And
Nice.
I haven't been able to repeat that since. So I'm still waiting.
Very nice. I think my largemouth's 24 and a half. 8.3.
Wow.
That cheated. That was in Texas. The biggest largemouth I've seen in the last, I don't know how many years. My son caught a 23 and a half. That ended up weighing a little over 6.5 pounds. It just spawned out, but it was 23 and a half. I thought it was an 8-pounder when he pulled it out, but
Wow.
yeah, I think the biggest one. Smallmouth 20.5 at Perry was my biggest smallmouth I caught. So there's much bigger ones out there though, I can tell you. So, but yeah, all those big fish.
Oh yeah.
So what do you
I
think?
get excited about 3-pounders, so that's me.
I still
So
do.
do
Even this year, I've caught so many like fish. I'll catch a 13-inch fish, and I'll be like, "Yeah, come on," I don't care as long as it's on the end of my rod, and it doesn't come off. What What do you think the best lake in Kansas is to fish, John, for a tournament? What do you think the best fishing lake is in Kansas for numbers and size and?
I don't know. I I know for a while there I would have said Wilson. I don't know. I know it kind of was going the other way,
Yep.
but I don't know what it's looking like now. But for a while there, I would have said Wilson.
Yeah, I guess they fired the guy that killed all the grass off out there, and um,
Good.
and I talked to the biologists out there, and they were pretty upset about the whole deal. But he said the smallmouth population are still there, and he said that a guy fishing for striper actually probably caught the state record in like 40 some feet of water,
Mm.
and took a picture of it and released it. And the biologist was like, okay, what he knows the guide, but he's like, yeah, right. And then he showed him a picture of the smallmouth. And he said it was probably the state record smallmouth. So there's
Wow.
still a big smallmouth in there.
Which would be like at what, 7 pounder or something?
Probably right at about 7 pounds. And Lake Shawnee,
Mm.
they just shocked up a couple ounce shy of the state record out of Lake Shawnee in Topeka. So
Yeah.
it's still in there, but she's probably an old fish. So I bet you that fish, I don't even know how long they live for, but probably 12, 13, I don't know, years old.
Yeah.
So 15,
Probably not putting on a whole lot of weight these days.
no. So Cole, what do you think the best fishing lake in Kansas is?
As far as being able to put a tournament on it, right? Not the little small lakes that kind of go in cycles. And I'm losing the name of it. Southwest Wilson. We fished it before. As far as pure,
Cedar Bluff?
as far as just pure numbers, I would have said Wilson had they not had their kill off several years ago. That you're starting to see its impact now, but that one's, you can tell by the numbers in the tournaments, everyone's catching limits. There's also big limits out of it right now. So just from a tournament standpoint, it's kind of one of those lakes. It's hard to not go catch your fish in if weather's right.
What did you say? I didn't hear the lake.
Cedar Bluff out in West.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's a sleeper. No one wants to pass Wilson because it's beautiful, clear water to get to that lake. It's hell when it's windy, but I also will give a nod that El Dorado, lakes that can produce really big fish tend to not catch a lot of fish. You need that forage for them to get big and healthy, and so it's a cycle. And I think you're seeing kind of the tip of the upswing right now of it. It's gonna, it'll falter off pretty quickly afterwards, but that's just part of the lake cycles you see. There's a lot of sleeper lakes out there for good fish, but it's hard. Cedar Bluff just is one that I always recall having an abundant number of fish and still carrying good ones.
Okay. Tony?
I know I won there last year, but that's not why. And Cole got second, but Milford. Just because the sheer number, and I think it's really anybody's game. I mean, if I can win it, anybody can win it. That's all I got to say. But there's so many smallmouth in that lake, and there's so many big smallmouth, and there's big largemouth too. That I think it's really kind of like the Mineland Wildlife Area. You get the right spot, it's anybody's game, and I like that. It's anybody can have an opportunity to win. Like whether it's your first day fishing or you've been a seasoned vet. It's one of those things that it's just fun, and I think it's a nice lake. Then my second one would be Melbourne, and I also won there, so I'm probably biased. But I actually think I did the numbers last year, and those were like the best single lakes that we fished as far as numbers. People caught numbers. I did all the analytics on it. The least amount of skunks, the least amount of the most fish caught, or at least I should say weighed. Derek will correct me. Yeah, so those two lakes are kind of the all-around tournament, in my opinion. Everybody loves doing Melbourne. If you ask everybody, you only could do one tournament at one lake, I think 90% of people would say Melbourne. So shout out to our other sponsor, Melbourne Lake Marina.
Yeah,
there you go.
Great. Yeah, it'd be hard. I'd be a little, hard pressed to not see that lake show up on the schedule until something were to change on it or something.
The dude is a solid dude, and he gave us a nice little donation. So it's very nice. So
and you're gonna get some Melbourne Lake Marina swag too, hopefully here soon. So
They have really comfortable hats, but I think it's going to surprise you what lake I think it is. But I think this year, I think El Dorado is probably going to be one of the best lakes in Kansas. Not only for largemouth, but I actually think the smallmouth population of El Dorado. I, I I know personally, like I'm gonna give some information to Tony, so you're gonna see it in in the tournament this year. But I found some spots. I actually sent some pictures to John after the tournament of the smallmouth that I was catching.
Yeah, wait,
there.
don't tell John. He might do the tournament.
But but the smallmouth in there, like I would be shocked. Or I wouldn't be shocked if someone caught 95 inches of smallmouth out of there. So, but there's just certain spots. But I think El Dorado is going to really probably be a pretty good, unless it like rains it out or something, something
Yeah.
soon. But yeah, that's my choice.
Nice.
Yeah, one piece of fishing gear you can't live without, John.
Fishing gear, like not lures or
Whatever you want to
Anything.
think. One thing that if you went fishing, you like have to have it. Other than like a life vest, obviously, or something.
That's what I was gonna say. That's like that sometimes.
yeah. I'm a stickler for the life vest. Even when I switched over to the bass boat, I would wear my life jacket, and that like those guys don't do that. They take it off when they get out of the driver's seat, but I just left it on all the time, and that looked weird to everybody else. I don't know. I would say a set of pliers. Um, I would say a set of pliers. That's something that I always have in the boat. Um, Definitely didn't always remember my net, but I always made sure I had a set of pliers. I found myself in some situations where I felt like I might have killed a fish because I didn't have a set of pliers and couldn't get a hook out of his throat or something, and so I guess that's why it was important to me because I didn't want to do that anymore or again.
Cole?
That's tough. I agree with the pliers thing. I would say that if I had to pick, one style of rod and reel, it's gonna maybe not come as a surprise. Probably gonna be a spinning reel because I'm gonna cave to a finesse tactic. And if I had to have one bait, it's gonna be some kind of Cinco. It was a one lure tournament type of deal.
Tony?
I have no clue. I have too many things now. When I first started out fishing, I had a couple rods and very little bait. Now I have too much stuff, and I don't know what I would leave at home.
Actually, I know what it is for you, Tony. It's a
Right.
snack box.
Yeah, no, snack box. Yeah, I never forget my snacks. It's always important to have a nice cold drink, and not of the alcoholic kind, just like a bottle of water or lemonade or something. So, but no, I would say I really love my finesse gear, but I would say my favorite rod and reel, which is my Shimano Vanford. I don't want to leave home without that because I've tried a lot of other things. That's my favorite reel, and I don't want to leave home without that.
Well, I think for John, it'd probably be a Ned rig.
Yeah.
No. I'm guessing I voiced my hatred for the Ned rig at some point in my podcast career.
Love them.
I just thought of one while you were talking. Sunscreen. That's one you don't want to forget in the middle of the summer.
Especially the next couple of weeks when you're out there for the first time in your shorts.
Yep.
And for some of us, a kayak seat, that's a very important piece of gear to have because if you forget it, it can suck.
You're not talking about Marco, are you?
No, I know Marco was one, but Derek forgot his seat one time, and I think Clayton, he was on his way to place, and his seat flew off his kayak, and he ended up fishing off of or sitting on a stool, and then he fell over and rolled into the water. So, yeah, seats are important.
Marco won the tournament sitting on a milk crate.
Jeez.
Nice.
We need to get him back up here fishing.
I know. He's still fishing. He's still fishing. He just messaged me earlier talking about all these fish he was catching last week.
Yeah, he's knocking them out, dude.
I've seen those pictures. They were nice too.
Yeah.
So what's John? What's one piece of advice you give to new anglers?
Oh crap!
It's all good.
We can still hear you.
Yeah, we can still hear you.
My phone just fell off of the mount there. Have fun. Don't overthink it. Don't go out and buy the very best equipment. Before you decide. Like just go do it. Do what you have, or do it with what you have. Um, just get out there and enjoy it, and build off of that. I've seen a lot of guys go out and spend a lot of money on gear and kayaks and all kinds of stuff, and you don't see them 6 months down the road. So just just enjoy it. Get out there with what you got, and that would be my biggest thing, I guess.
Very nice. Clayton says he has a picture, a screenshot of his feet in the air as he's heading out of his kayak.
Perfect rainbow. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I took mine one day, my little Hobie Lynx, and I forgot my seat. And I get there and I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm just going to sit. And so I was sitting against my black box on the Hobie Lynx on the water. It was the most uncomfortable thing, trying to pedal. Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Cole, what about you? What's one piece of advice you give to new anglers?
I love that you show the roster of the new folks, and I think the key to not coming to a tournament and walking away maybe upset or feeling like you failed is to set a personal goal. We're all there to fish to win, right? But at the end of the day, what really helped my mentality that's allowed me to survive the years and not get burned out is that I personally set the goal of what I think I can accomplish. And it starts out with, maybe it's as simple as I just want to get one scoreable fish on the board, right? You're new you go through the era of you want to catch a limit, right? Maybe you want to catch a keeper limit, and those goals progress. But you understand your body of water. But if you set your own goals of things that are achievable for you, then you walk away and learn something. So that's my recommendation: is focus on the things you do control as your goals, so you don't get upset about the things that are outside of your goals.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
And Derek says he finished fishing a cooler on top of a cooler because he forgot his seat. Tony, what's one piece of advice?
I said it last time, and I said it on May podcast. Just get out and do it. Go out and just be, just go out and fish, have fun. The real win is the camaraderie afterwards. The friends. I have a whole new set of friends I didn't have 4 years ago. Doing this, and it's really cool. Plus, don't think about it as I'm going to go win tournament. I'm going to win all this money. It's not life changing money, but it's a good for mental and mental health and physical health, and you just be out there and be at peace. And that's what I like to do. As I go out there, I don't think about anything. I don't think about my job. I don't think about hardships. I don't think about a lot of things bad in this world, things going on. I just go out there and I think about fishing. And for me, if you can do that too, and just kind of get away from things, then it's worth it. So you can't put a price on that. So you, Tim?
Yeah, I was in another group chat earlier, and basically I've never done a single tournament for anybody ever, obviously, but I just do it to see how good I am against another person, and at the end to maybe meet somebody you wouldn't have normally met. So I'd say come up to the award ceremony if you're new and get to meet everybody. Don't be shy. Like Tony and I especially will come up, we'll talk your ear off, and don't be shy. Just come up and say hi and say who you are, and we enjoy having you on there. So
we'll make sure we have autographs.
Yeah, we'll give out autographs. So, but yeah, I'd say that's my advice. So Tony, I'm going to give it over to you. You want to give one more giveaway, and then
last comment I have on here is from Derek. Is there any more comments I didn't see, Tim?
Nope, I think that's it. I think everybody. Did you get Gaz in there?
I got Gaz on there.
Yep. So comment real quick if you want a $25 gift card to Bass Pro. You'll be entered in the drawing. Hold on, let me type my name in here real quick.
Oh,
There's Neil. You better get Neil in there. Actually, just keep Neil out of there.
comments. He was fast.
Oh, there's John. John's on there. Get John on there.
John wins everything. He doesn't.
Yeah, John does win everything.
John and Derek always win. Oh, I spelled it wrong. John. Sorry, John. All right. Anybody else? All right. Nope, I don't want to add Will. Okay, here it goes. My money's on Derek. He always wins everything.
It's gonna be John. Oh, Travis.
Travis Fouts.
All right, we'll get hold of Tony.
All right, Travis. I don't know if I have you on my friends list on my Facebook, but you can reach out to me through Messenger if you want, or we can. We'll figure it out. I'll look you up. So if not, you can reach out to me on Facebook Messenger, and I'll get your email. So
yeah.
So we got Mark and Travis.
Yeah. And John, if you want to stay on after the show, that's fine. And Cole for a little bit, or if you got to go, that's fine too. It's up to you. But yeah. Tony, you want to close this out? We'll call it good.
Thanks so much, John, for coming on, and Cole for coming on, talking about the old days and kayaking, and we really appreciate you. You know, that the name of the podcast was For the Love of Kayak Fishing. You guys have been doing it longer than I have, but it's something that when you got the bug, you got the bug and you get hooked. So we appreciate you talking about it, and hopefully a few more people got to know you that haven't got to meet you yet, the new guys. We really hope you can come back and do one this year. We'd love to see you out there. I'm expecting, I really am. I'm going to tell you, we're expecting you out to at least one. You got to make it work. So Milford's not really far. So what's that?
When's El Dorado?
July 11th.
Okay.
So there you go.
And Cole, we know we're going to see you. Are you coming down to Mineland?
I'll be there as of right now. But you know, I'm that game time sign up guy just in case I get a sick kiddo or something. But yeah.
Yeah. A lot of stuff.
Yep.
A lot of stuff going on. So Tim and I are doing that last minute thing too. But
yeah, we got a lot of stuff going on right now. So
great show, guys. John better get out and fish an event soon. Derek says you better get out there. He misses you.
Yeah, miss you guys too.
Thanks, fellas.
Any final shout outs for John? You want to shout out anything? People, Facebook pages, groups, anything you want to shout out or?
No, just appreciate you guys. Yep. Glad to see that you are doing what you're doing, and hopefully I'll get out and get a fish one or two of them this year with you guys. So I think I'm going to put El Dorado on my schedule there.
Neil says John still fishes.
Neil didn't watch the whole show, so yeah, John still fishes.
What's up, Neil? Right. But yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And hope to see you guys on the water soon.
Sounds good.
Cole, any final shout outs for you?
No, appreciate you guys. If I can help anyone that's new, you know, hopefully at least this was an introduction. Would love to meet you. If you have questions, don't hesitate to stop me at the ramp or out on the water. If I can give you a few pointers, or at least, you know, a little bit of what I've learned.
And thanks to all the sponsors who help Kansas Kayak Anglers, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate you guys coming on. And Tim, any final thoughts before we close out for the night?
No, get on the monthly and the Big Bass Bash and sign up for the pits.
And the membership. Don't forget about the membership.
Yep, get a membership.
Yeah, you're right. All right, everybody, we're out. Thanks. We'll talk to you next time.